My name is Rachel and I'm the owner of Dog at Heart. At Dog at Heart, my focus with dog training is really helping dogs with handling issues and helping them feel better about veterinary care and grooming through something called Cooperative Care. And I also help dogs who experience reactivity. My background with dogs is really when I started volunteering at a shelter as a dog walker and dog mentor. So that's where I did some training with dogs and realized that that's what I really wanted to do. From there, I adopted my favorite dog from the shelter. His name is Dave. And I took him to Liverpool with me where my partner lives, and I studied at the Victoria Stilwell Academy. So since then, I've just been continuing to further my education about dog training and dog behavior. You can start a bit of training at home from the time you get your pup at around 8 weeks old is generally the time that people get their dogs. I often recommend rewarding the puppy when they happen to do the things you want them to do as well, so that they're more likely to do those behaviors you like more than the ones you don't. So puppies, they might just casually sit and you can just reward that. So you get a puppy that does more of the things that you like rather than things that you don't like. But the thing is that our dogs are always learning. So there are lots of things that we can continue to teach throughout their lives as well. So my focus with puppies at this time when they come home would be more on bonding and socialization. Socialization, not in the sense of meeting lots of people and playing with lots of dogs, but actually kind of forming good associations with the world around them. So that could include teaching the pup to walk on different surfaces, playing different noises like fireworks and traffic, teaching your puppy that being handled in sensitive areas like paws and ears, they bring good things like treats, letting your pup watch other dogs at a distance. So, more things like that, so that the puppy gets to experience the world in a safe and comfortable way that will help them build their confidence and also feel safe with you. Providing them with enrichment, so kind of working through puzzles with them, giving them treats and playing with them, really helping them sort of feel safe with you and also kind of enjoy you being around. So make sure that they have you there when they need you, because sometimes people might think that it's okay to get your dog used to being alone when they're puppies, but actually when they first come home, it's quite a stressful experience because they've just left their mother and their litter mates, and so we want to be there for them. It's not okay to kind of let puppies cry it out, so we need to be there for them. We need to help them feel safe in that way. So that might mean having them in your room or you being downstairs for a couple of nights, and then over time you can slowly move out. If the puppy or the dog has kind of practiced these behaviors that you don't like over and over again, then that sort of reinforcement history, as we call it, so that behavior is really practiced, they do it a lot and it always feels good, then it can take a little while to change, but that doesn't mean it will never change. So, when we think about sort of these bad habits, we're really thinking of behaviors that as humans we just don't like. So it's not a bad habit or problem to the dog. They have no sense of kind of what's bad or good or what's wrong or right. But if we can look at these behaviors we don't like, it's just behaviors, then we can objectively think about what we rather our dog do instead. So let's say our dog, like you say, doesn't walk very nicely on the leash. When we think about them, they have 4 legs, so they just naturally would walk faster than us. So asking them to walk next to us is a bit like when we're holding the hand of a toddler and walking, like it feels really slow. So we kind of have to empathize with that first, and then we can work on rewarding our dogs more for walking closer with us, and we can do this bit by bit, starting at home. Sometimes it's one step at a time. And then also a lot of dogs, they love sniffing. And so it's important that we give them that opportunity, because if we give them that opportunity to sniff, they can relax a bit more because their needs are being met. So they don't have to feel like, oh God, I've got to rush over there and sniff before my person's going to pull me away again. So, for that, walking your dog on a long line, that's great. And, what I find is that the more a dog gets to sniff, the more they will also respond to you when you need them to, because they kind of have the needs met already. I mean, my dog Dave, he's 11 now, and when he was in the shelter for 7 years, he didn't really learn a whole lot, and now he's learning new things all the time, and there's loads of behavior change and improvements and things like that, so it can definitely be done regardless of the age of the dog. I really like having eye contact from our dogs. So that's a really simple thing to train, because once in a while our dog is going to just look at you, and that's when you can give them a treat. So when you have that eye contact first, then you can move on to doing other things, because then they're kind of focused on you. So I really like having that. Being able to get our dogs to settle in a certain place, that's really important as well. Just being able to have them sort of stationed in a little area on a mat, things like that, and get them to kind of settle. Those are kind of two things that I find quite important. In some ways, I do kind of recommend that everyone goes to dog trainer, even if you have a young puppy. I think almost especially if you have a young puppy, because you want to have a good start. And with rescues as well, they might come with certain issues or concerns. Then, I think that's a really good thing to do. Getting the right sort of support from the beginning, and then maybe just with a few sessions, you kind of have the right idea. Maybe you've been provided the right resources, the right sort of support, so you can go from there and then continue working with your dog on your own. So I think one of the common mistakes is not getting in touch with a professional certified trainer sooner, especially when you have a dog who is kind of displaying slightly more concerning behavior, such as not being comfortable with being touched, or displaying fearful behavior around people or other animals, snapping or growling when people approach them when they have something. So quite often people think that dogs would just get used to things or get over things, and yeah, sometimes that can be the case, but it's really risky, because you risk flooding the dog when you assume that they will get used to it, which means that your dog is experiencing this constant stress and fear around these triggers, but they feel trapped and can't do anything about it, so their fear gets worse. So quite often with any issue you're facing as an owner, it's best to seek professional help as soon as you start seeing the problems come up, so that you can get the appropriate help and support you need. Not really realizing that our dogs, especially the younger puppies, have shorter attention spans, so it's really important to keep training sessions short. So as humans, it's really typical of us to kind of want to keep going when our dog is doing well, and I'm guilty of that sometimes myself, but actually they're getting really bored, and we don't want training to be boring, we want it to be fun. And for younger pups, if they can work with you for even like 1 to 2 minutes per session, that's brilliant, do that. So I think sometimes a common hurdle is people's mindset. So mindset in the sense of thinking that we need to fix a certain behavior, or we need to just keep stopping a certain behavior, because then we're too focused on thinking what we need to stop, that we forget that it's more effective to teach the dog to do something else instead, and then really reward the dog for doing that other thing, because then he's more likely to do that other thing you want. And I think also a hurdle for people is that there is so much information on the internet, and a lot of the things you come across could be incredibly outdated and harmful. The dog training industry is also unfortunately unregulated, which means that anyone can call themselves a dog trainer or behaviorist when they actually have no actual education or certifications in dog training and behavior, and may use methods that could be a bit damaging to the welfare of your dogs. Depends on the dogs. Some dogs who are in the shelters, they come out and they're perfectly fine, and with the right environment, they're completely like chilled out. But some of the dogs, I think particularly with the dogs that I used to work with in the shelter, they're a lot more reactive towards like other dogs, and even sometimes people, which can be a little bit more challenging, a little bit more difficult to work with. So I think having a bit of an ongoing support system with a trainer or with a behaviorist, or even with a veterinary behaviorist, things like that can be really helpful. But it doesn't mean that that dog is always going to be stuck in that sort of state of mind or that sort of fear. So we can definitely work with that. Really important for like the owners to continue that practice. Obviously, as a trainer, if I'm just going to your house once and then we're working just on jumping, I might teach you the skills, but you have to continue to practice that with your dog. So it's not going to work that one time. And, you know, both humans and dogs, we need that repetition to kind of change our behaviors. But that's why I kind of keep providing ongoing support for my clients, because you know, it's helpful to be able to check that you're on the right track and figure out how to move forward with the training or troubleshoot things that aren't working. Force-free training is about teaching our dogs, or any animal really, without the use of pain, intimidation, or force. Traditional training methods often involve punishing a dog for behaviors you don't like through varying degrees of harshness and trying to stop bad behavior. And so the dog learns to do things or to not do things because he's scared of what will happen to him. On the other hand, modern force-free training is about teaching our dogs alternative behaviors, teaching them what we prefer them to do, and then rewarding them for doing so through the use of positive reinforcement.